What would happen if you fell into Neptune? Because movies make it look like you just fall through some clouds, hit the planet, and explode. But Neptune is an ice giant, which is basically science's way of saying there is no ground, only suffering. Today we're doing the full Neptune fall timeline. And no, I'm not wearing a disguise or pretending to be a scientist. I'm just here to translate Neptune into plain English, layers and consequences. Neptune is far, dark, blue, and quiet, which is exactly the vibe of something that can kill you in 14 different ways. Step 1. As you approach, you realize Neptune isn't a surface planet. There's no solid crust waiting like Mars or Earth. It's mostly hydrogen and helium, with methane giving it that iconic blue color. So when you fall into Neptune, you're really falling into layers of atmosphere that get thicker and meaner. Now, right away people ask, could you breathe? No. There's basically no oxygen, so if you're just free floating in space with no suit, you pass out in seconds. Video over. Thanks for watching. But obviously we're doing the interesting version, so let's assume you've got a sci-fi suit that handles breathing and temperature. Because temperature is Neptune's first real problem. Up in the upper atmosphere, it can be around -200 degrees Celsius. That's not winter, that's your eyelashes are now a brittle material. So you're dropping into a deep freeze, except it's not calm. Because Neptune has the fastest winds in the solar system, and that sentence still feels illegal. Winds can get up around 2,000 kilometers per hour. That's like being in a hurricane, strapped to the outside of a jet, inside another hurricane. So you don't fall straight down, you get dragged sideways, spun, and whipped through different wind layers. That violent difference in wind speed is called wind shear, which is just a fancy way of saying the atmosphere is trying to twist you like a bottle cap. If your suit is even slightly mid, this is where it starts taking damage. Not a dramatic explosion, just tiny failures stacking up. Joints stressed, seals strained, materials fatigued. And while all this is happening, you're descending into thicker and thicker gas. At first, it feels like falling through air. But deeper down, air becomes more like dense fog, then more like a fluid you have to push through. And that's when the real boss shows up: pressure. On Earth, you live at 1 atmosphere of pressure. On Neptune, that number starts climbing like it's trying to break a high score. 10 atmospheres, then 100, then 1,000. And pressure isn't just a stat. It's force pressing on you from every direction all the time. So your suit is basically a soda can at the bottom of an ocean. Except the ocean is hydrogen, helium, and methane, and the waves are made of physics. At some point, every structure has a limit. The suit starts to buckle. Seals start to fail. And if the suit fails, your body loses instantly. Not in a cinematic way, in a "you are now a cautionary equation" way. But let's pretend your suit is absurdly overbuilt, because if it is, Neptune gets even weirder below. Remember how Neptune looks like an ice planet? Yeah, that's a lie your eyes tell you. Neptune actually gives off more heat than it gets from the sun, meaning the deeper you go, it starts getting hotter. So the experience goes from freezing to crushing to cooking, and now you're in this zone where the chemistry stops behaving normally. The ices inside Neptune, water, ammonia, methane, aren't ice cubes. Under insane pressure, they turn into supercritical fluids, which I'm not going to pretend to fully understand, but it basically means it's a gas and a liquid at the same time. So you're sinking through a hot, dense soup that can't decide what it is. And because it's Neptune, it might also be making diamonds. Yeah, diamond rain. Under enough pressure, methane can break apart and carbon can crystallize. So somewhere in that darkness, carbon could literally be forming diamonds and falling deeper. Imagine dying in a planet that's casually manufacturing luxury items around you. But don't get excited. You're not collecting anything. Because by this point, the pressure is so stupidly high that even your fantasy suit is getting bullied. And below that, there's likely a deeper, mantle-like layer, and then some kind of core. Rocky, icy, mixed. Scientists argue about the details because Neptune is hard to measure. But here's the key. You never reach a bottom that you can stand on. Your fall doesn't end with a landing. It ends with the environment scaling up until survival is mathematically impossible. So the timeline is no oxygen, insane cold, violent winds, crushing pressure, rising heat, and then the end. And the craziest part is Neptune still looks calm in every photo. It's just sitting there, blue and peaceful, while it runs a physics stress test on your existence. If you want the next episode, comment which planet you want, Saturn, Venus, or Jupiter. And that's the story of falling into Neptune.